Community Connections, brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair. Good afternoon. Welcome to Community Connections, brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair. My name is Matt Wilkerson. This is Greg Steen.
Good morning, everybody.
We have a hot topic today. I would say that it is probably one of the hottest topics among Marion County residents at this time of year. Jimmy Cowan, Marion County Property Appraiser. There's a lot of people who are interested in hearing some of the answers to your questions today. I got my property tax notice. I'm sure you did too.
I got mine. Yeah,
trim notices were sent out. A lot of people have been complaining. Me not so much, thanks to the help of a very valuable individual. But first of all, thank you for being here.
Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. There are a lot of people who have asked a lot of questions on social media and out in the public saying, hey, how do I trim this? How do I do that? How do I save? Am I saving enough? Got some questions for you today that hopefully the viewers can find value on. And let me say this first. Whenever I was building my new home, I reached out to you. I had not built a home in a long time. And you gave me some valuable information on how to take the equity. We're going to talk about Save the Home in a little bit, but some very valuable information on how to maximize my tax savings. And just to say thank you for doing that. I know you can't take a call from every single resident in Marion County, but your office is very valuable and very informative. So thank you for doing that for me personally to start.
No problem. It's my job. And also, if there's any questions that we don't get to or things people want to know, feel free to go in the comments and ask some questions. And when they come in, I'll send you a link to the questions people are asking, and might be able to answer that one later. So if you have any questions that aren't being addressed during this podcast, please get with the comments on there, and we'll try to get an answer for you.
We're more than welcome to call the office, too. And when I'm
call you directly.
Myself, we'll take care of it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, first question for you. First of all, people think the property appraiser sets the taxes. We've had this conversation. What is the property appraiser and their office responsibilities?
Well, our responsibility is to value all the property, whether it be commercial, residential, vacant land, whatever it is in Marion County. We're required to value everything in Marion County. City of Ocala, everything. We value all the values to every building, every piece of land, tangible personal property, agricultural properties, everything. We are a starting point, basically. When you have your assessment or your taxable value, then it gets multiplied by a tax rate, which is given to us by the county commissioners. County commissioners don't just come up with a tax rate; they get budgets that come in too. So I mean, there's some comes out from school boards and from other different areas too. So we're the starting point. So the starting point of that, basically, the value's got to be right, or it could affect the entire county if they're incorrect.
Yeah. Good deal. Okay.
And also, could you explain to us Save Our Homes and recapture? What exactly is that program? What's going on?
Okay, Save Our Homes has to deal with homestead properties.
Okay.
Back in 1992, the Florida voters went to the polls and they voted on Save Our Homes. Back then, it was also called Amendment 10.
Right.
Basically, what it did is it limited the amount of increase that can be put on a homestead property in a year's time. After your first year of homestead or your base year of homestead, your property market value can increase whatever it needs to based on the previous year's sales. And your appraisal date every year is January 1st. So hypothetically, January 1, 2023 is this year's appraisal date, would mean we use from January 1 of 2022 to December 30th of 2022 sales to value the 23's tax roll. Everything you do in appraisal in our office is based off that January 1st date. In Matt's new house, if he built a pool, and that pool was done in December of 2022, it would go on for the 23's tax roll. If it was done in January or February of 23, it would go on 24's tax roll. So that's like a number line. That's your point right there. The appraisal date every year across all 67 counties is January 1st.
Got you. Can you explain briefly portability?
Well, let me finish with the Save Our Homes a little bit. Save Our Homes, basically, your market value can increase whatever the previous year's sales dictate. But your assessed value cannot go up any more than 3% or the consumer price index, whichever is lower that year. Since 2021, basically, we've been way over 3%. So the max we can go up is 3. I think last year was 8.7% total for the cost of living. So we could go to 3. So if you had a $100,000 home the first year you filed homestead, and I know nothing sells for $100,000 anymore, but we'll just use that for round numbers. Your market value for the first year would be 100,000. Your assessed value would be 100,000. Your homestead would be worth 50,000, and your taxable would be 50. Say the next year rolls around, and as of that January 1st date, say it goes up 20%. So your market value can go from 100 to 120, but that assessed value cannot go up any more than 3%, so it goes from 100 to 103.
Oh.
So in this scenario, you now have a $17,000 holdback between your market and your assessed. That is your Save Our Homes amount. Because the law passed in 1992, was put in effect 94 for the 95 tax roll, basically it's all of it is exempt. Now, some of the newer laws, like we'll get to in a little while, they were worried about hurting the school systems and stuff of that nature. So some of them only shield the residual of the tax rate, but separate the school tax rate on it. So the $17,000 in this case would be totally exempt. If you then basically say the next year rolls around and value stayed the same, is where your recapture comes in, that market value is still 120,000. You're at 103 assessed. It's still going to allow 3% to trickle on or recapture.
Okay.
So that number would go to like 106.1 is what it would go to. So you'd have a little less Save Our Homes in there. At that point in time, if you wanted to sell and move somewhere else, that's where your portability would come in. And if you go to a higher priced or upgrade, you can take whatever holdback you have in Save Our Homes with you to the new home.
That's what you advised me to do. I wasn't even aware of that whenever I took that. I had whatever it was, 50, 60,000 in equity or no, above the appraised value. You can explain it better, but bottom line is I took that with me to the new house, and the tax savings, it was substantial.
Yeah, it can be. There's I had them pull a report the other day because in one of our property appraiser groups, they were asking to get the average per year, and it went from about $23,000 5 years ago to about $72,000 holdback.
Wow.
Now. So that number just keeps increasing. So this is the biggest reset that we've seen where market values that Save Our Homes make a big, huge difference. And I'm sure you're going to get into some of these questions where we can explain what has happened and why somebody has bought a property and why their taxes went way up.
Gotcha. So would that go into like the non-homestead properties? Is there like a 10% cap, or could you?
There is. There's actually two different statutes. One's 193.1554 and one's 193.1555. One deals with 9 units or less residential with no homestead. Basically works kind of the same way, where your market value can increase whatever the sales dictate, or the market data, I should say, because there's actually three approaches to value. There's a cost approach, which is something that's done when something's brand new. Sales comparison approach, which is done by sales, or an income approach. So if you're talking about quads or duplexes or apartment buildings, it's going to go by an income approach of what they're, not the income to the business, but what they're renting for. Businesses like what we're sitting here, what they're renting each unit for, minus any vacancy and collection losses, minus any allowable expenses, things of that nature. There's a formula. So there's three approaches to value. When the values go up based on the market data from the previous year, then a lot of times if it goes up more than 10% and it's the same owner and the names haven't changed, then they get what they call a 10% cap. The difference between that, the whole thing is not exempt. You're still going to pay school taxes. So just using, a hypothetical, if it's $16 per thousand and it's almost $6.50 for school taxes, you're going to pay the $6.50, but you're going to be exempt on the residual of that. So it does save you some money, but it's not like Save Our Homes where it saves you all of that holdback money.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna save another question to the end that we don't have set for you, but it's something that is really burning that I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers want to know. But with Save Our Homes and the 10% cap, how does that affect new homeowners?
Very good question. What ends up happening? Let's say that I'm buying a property from you or Greg, and let's say you live there half the year. So you were living there January 1, so your homestead stays in place for Save Our Homes. Or if it was a commercial business I bought from you, you owned it as of January 1, so that 10% cap stays on there for the remainder of that tax rule, which usually the tax bills come out in November. So basically, I buy it in June or July, whatever the case may be. My taxes that first year are going to be based on what the previous owner's holdback, Save Our Homes, or 10% cap was. January 1 comes around, and it resets. Your market value and your assessed value become the same number. And this would be for somebody that's moving here from out of state, first-time homestead person, because you got to remember, if somebody had a homestead anywhere in the state of Florida before, they may have portability they can bring into here to use. So it would be new owners or people that have never had a homestead before, whether it be out-of-state owners, first-time buyers, whatever the case may be. So that first year, they're paying taxes based on the previous owner's exemptions and Save Our Homes.
Hmm.
January 1st comes around and it resets. So their market value, even if the value stayed the same, they would pay more because their market and assessed become the same number.
Okay, so real quick, let me ask you this. So let's just use an even number, even though we know there's no house out there for $100,000 right now. $100,000 was the value of the house today. Appraised value or assessed values. I'm sorry, assessed value, and the market value is 120. So next year they will both set to 120. Am I understanding this correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What happens when the market drops? Because cycles go up and down. Right now, houses are through the roof. What happens when it's the opposite?
Well, if you have enough Save Our Homes sitting there, let's say that you have $100,000, and it's not unimaginable. It happens. There's a lot of people that have $100,000 in Save Our Homes. If values drop by $50,000, you're still going to get a recapture up going on by the law. It's going to recapture 3% or up to 3%. But your market value would go down. Your holdback would go down, but you still haven't touched that assessed value because you had $100,000 worth of holdback and you only knocked out $50,000 worth of value. So you've been having this shielding for years, and all of a sudden it comes out of there. So that we get, during the downturn in the market in 07 and 08, and this is my 32nd year at the Property Appraiser's office, so I've seen it, both sides of the coin on this. People are saying, how did my value go down, but my assessed value went up and my taxes went up? It's because you still have a shielding you weren't paying taxes on, and it's allowed to recapture up to 3% for the consumer price index every year onto that assessed value, which does affect your taxable.
Okay. That makes sense because some people I have heard in the community mention, my value went down, but my taxes increased substantially.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many that we went down this year.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, they were confused as why it did not run parallel. As much as this went up, that went up, and they were like, something's off. And I tell everybody, Jimmy Cowan's office.
Yeah.
At any rate.
And to kind of get on that point, if you think about a lot of your retirement communities that have the exact same models,
Right.
you, Greg, and I could have the exact same model, live pretty close to each other. You could have been living there for 10 years. You could have been living there for 5 years, and I'm a new owner. Our taxes will be different.
Right.
On the same home.
Yeah.
Or you could be living there for 10, he could be living there for 5, and I could port something from South Florida and have more portability than you guys, and I could be paying less than both of you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So with all these caps and everything, and for add a little bonus question here, as far as the 3%, 10%. So I have a lot of customers and stuff like that. We go to do a standby generator or wire up a pool. So if someone has homestead and they put in a pool and a standby generator and a detached garage and stuff like that, is the following year their tax is going to go through the roof, or is that still under the cap?
Well, we kind of almost covered that a minute ago. In mass appraisal, there's certain things that we're not going to assess, like your generator. If you're talking about a generator on the house, that's not something we pick up and assess as extra value. There may be some counties in Florida that do, but we do not here in Marion County. Solar, we list it, but we don't tax you on it, okay? So we list that you have it and how many panels you have and everything of that nature, but it doesn't increase your value.
Wait, no. Let me interrupt real quick. It does not increase your value according to the Property Appraiser's office.
It's mass appraisal.
So in other words, somebody goes to a real estate agent, it would add extra value to the home having a generator.
Possible.
But yet in your office, doesn't matter.
Right.
Gotcha.
So a pool, that's something that's a permanently affixed item there. Basically, so if it's in-ground pool, because we don't really assess above-ground pools unless they're sunk in the ground, because they're here today, gone tomorrow. We're required to review every 5 years, and a lot of times if we were assessing above-ground pools, by the time we got back there 5 years later, it's gone.
Right.
And how long have we been assessing it when it's not there? Because no one's going to tell us they took their pool off. But an in-ground pool, we do assess. And if you, again, like we said earlier, if Matt had a pool and it was done before the first of the year, it would go on the next year's tax roll. If it's done after the first of the year, it would go on the following year's tax roll. That's with anything, a detached garage, screen porches, carports, anything that you have that's permanently affixed as part of the real estate.
So if you're getting it done, have it finished January 2nd. I'm just kidding.
Do everything except leave a little strip of paint. January 2nd, paint that strip.
Well, that ain't going to make a difference. If it's there and it's usable, it's going to be assessed. There's actually, believe it or not, we had some situations years ago when we've done it, we've had to do it. There's a law called substantially complete, and it's come back in the 70s is when it came around. And if that home is substantially complete as of January 1 and usable, whether they've paid their impact fees, whether they're moved into it or not, whether they called for a CO, we have to assess that property.
Oh, really? Even though the CO's not issued?
Yeah, the CO, they might not have a CO because they didn't pay the impact fees.
Wow.
Or they just never called because they're waiting after the first of the year, but the house is done. We have to assess it.
I'm glad I'm done building.
I'm done. Yeah. I'm thinking second thought about building that one at the river.
All right.
Talking with people and they're like, oh, I'm working the same hours they're open, stuff like that. And I just can't get down there. I can't file my homestead. I can't do this. What should I do? Do you offer online services to people?
We do. There's actually, honestly, there's people that just don't know about homestead, and we try to do everything we possibly can to let the new owners know, to let people know. We send a new owners letters for ag and homestead. If it's had ag before and it's, let's say, a 20, 30 acre tract, we're going to send a new owner letter that you may qualify for this. If it's a new home or they just sold, we're going to send a new owner letter. You may qualify for this. But we offer online services where you can file online. You don't have to leave your house, and it takes a few minutes. You basically contact our office by, computer wise. Basically, we give you a PIN number. Okay. You get that PIN number and it's good for a week. So you fill it out, and basically what you have to have is you have to be a Florida resident. So you have to have a Florida driver's license. And if you're married, you and your wife, Florida vehicle registration. If you're registered to vote, it has to be Marion County, and you have to know your social security number. Now, if you're looking for other exemptions, like there's some disability exemptions, things of that nature, you're going to need more paperwork than that. Sure. But, if you have a question on that, definitely call our office.
You would have an app too, correct?
We do. We have I had got an app, and it actually cost us, pretty proud of the app. We have a young guy that did it for us. It cost us $100 for Apple and $25 for Android. So it cost us in-house to do it, $125.
Whoa.
And I had a bunch of beta testers, like a lot of the people in the community that are in real estate, some law enforcement people, and they tested it and tested it and tested it. We finally went live with it, but we've got quite a few users
done in-house.
In-house, yeah. All of our computer stuff's been done in-house.
Well, that's amazing.
With the exception of some of our mapping stuff, which you have to use a vendor for. But our CAMA system and when Billy got Lee Herbst, which is one of my assistant property appraisers, to write our CAMA system, which is a computer-assisted mass appraisal system. A lot of other counties will pay millions of dollars to purchase it.
Wow.
The transition from bringing the data to that new system sometimes takes 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Then you have to pay licensings, renewal fees, all kinds of stuff. Over the years, it's saved well more than $12 million for Marion County by us running it in-house.
Wow.
So,
man, that's amazing. That's a big savings.
Yeah, we're currently going through a rewrite under a different language, C#, because some of the older languages Microsoft's not, supporting them old languages.
Right.
Our old mapping system was that way. We didn't have support from the vendor anymore. They were going to the beta map you see now, or the map that you see online now. And I actually was at MCYFL one Saturday and it crashed. And we could not revive it. So I told him, I said, and we already had a beta map out there. I said, go with the beta map.
Wow.
Because we can't revive. It's costing us too much money to try to put Band-Aids on it.
Okay, so last question as we finish up. If a viewer's watching this, everybody's situation is different. I fully understand that. But if you have somebody that says, listen, I want to make sure that I'm getting the most savings out of my property and I'm not leaving one of these things out just because of carelessness or not knowing, without bombarding your office, because I know you don't want that many people coming at once, but you guys have always been willing to help. Do you have a website and a phone number where they can contact you and possibly, can they set an appointment to talk to one of y'all, or you don't want them to just to show up? If
during COVID, we were setting appointments when a lot of the county offices, were limited on what they could do. You can set an appointment with somebody, especially if you got a specialty type problem. Sure. If you're having to deal with a specialty group, whether it be deeds, whether it be mapping, whether it be income approach, whatever, we have people that can talk to you. Generally, when you come into the office, if you walk in and you say, I need to talk to somebody in the commercial department, we can get you somebody from the commercial department. So we're available every day for anything. But if you're going to bring a bunch of information, and it's something we have to digest, we may not be able to digest it in 15 minutes. We need to look at it. Sure. But our website is www.pa.marion.fl.us. There's a lot of online services on there you can do. You can file your homestead on there. You can file your tangible return if you own a business. Email us, contact us if you have questions, things of that nature. You can do all of that. The only application we cannot by law take online is an agricultural classification application for agricultural properties. The statute requires a wet signature. You can't fax it in. You can't email it in. You have to literally send it in with a wet signature.
Gotcha. Well, I tell you what, that has been very informative. I'm telling you, a lot of people have been asking questions
Definitely.
about property taxes when they've got their trim notices, and this is helpful. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Hot topic. Marion County property tax.
Speaking of hot topics, can I ask you a question?
Uh-oh, here we go. Now, this is flipped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you go. I want to ask you a question.
I don't know what this
I was kind of busy. I announced like 7 games at MCYFL Saturday, so I got home kind of late, a little bit tired.
Yeah.
Who won
I
the
already
game
always-
Saturday? Who won the game
Who
Saturday?
won the game Saturday?
Yeah. Did you have to watch that?
I believe the Gators won. It was hard to say that, but the Gators won.
Okay.
Not only one, I think they killed it.
You know, it's been going around town that you're in denial, but
We may have to
glad
cut
you
this
finally
interview short, Grant. We may have to cut this interview
Oh,
short.
no, I told him to go ahead and run with it.
This guest is out of control. Yes, it's out of control. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate that. Jimmy Cowan, Marion County Property Appraiser. If you have any questions, I can tell you proof because they did it for me. You can reach out to them. They are more than willing to help.
Very helpful.
There are several people in this county, I guarantee it, who are not taking full advantage of the savings that are available to them. Their office can point out any savings for you, more than willing to help. Super nice guy, super great department. But I'm telling you, anytime you want to learn about property taxes, you need to reach out to them and they will be able to help. Thanks for watching. This is Community Connections brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate you being here.
thank you.
Yes, that was awesome. Love getting the football game in there.